Now this evening, organised by Flitwick, we did last year a meeting of our local candidates for the Central Bedfordshire Council, which was very worthwhile, so we thought we would like to do the same for our parliamentary candidates this time. Just to make a note of the meeting, Tim Ireland here is recording the event. He has nothing to do with anybody here, it's purely independent.
It's just for us. Tim Ireland as a local?
No, he's just a resident, aren't you, Tim?
Tim, you've been called.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Tim, you're from this area, you're not Tim Ireland from Croydon.
I'm Tim Ireland, I'm certainly not from Croydon.
Right, okay, sorry, no.
Okay, fine.
Okay, it's fine, sorry. You unfortunately have the same name as someone who had to report to the police late release. Sorry.
Tim Ireland from Croydon, you've had to report Tim Ireland from Croydon to police. What for?
Yes. For various emails, statements he makes on the internet, what kind of name.
Okay, I think you're talking about the same Tim Ireland, but as with everything else, I don't live in Croydon, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, can you tell me... well, I don't know, is it... Are you
I don't plan on participating, I just plan on getting the evening on record.
This is very embarrassing. I will have to ask Tim then not to proceed if, because otherwise Mrs. Dorries wants to leave the meeting.
I leave or you do, Mr. Ireland.
If you are the same one that she's talking about.
But that's not true. None of what she's just said is true. The police have not spoken to me about any of
I'll
it.
have to ask you to stop. What is the issue of the meeting? There appears to be a contretemps between Mrs. Dorries and Tim, who is recording the meeting for us, but she said that she doesn't want to do it and she will have to leave. So,
Can I explain why? Yes. So this gentleman is not a resident of Flitwick. He runs a website called Bloggerheads, which is incredibly offensive and a rude website. He also bombards me and a number of MPs with numerous offensive messages, emails, and postings. I have had to report him to the Met Police on 2 occasions, and one is under investigation at the moment. I'm really sorry, but this is the case. And so he's not a resident, he's not from Mid-Bedfordshire at all, he's actually from Croydon, who speaks to a number of MPs, including Anne Milton, including Patrick Mercer, and other MPs have the same issues with him. So I'm afraid either I leave or he does.
what is the wish of the meeting?
All the other MPs also reported.
What are you frightened of? What are you scared of?
Mr. Golby, as a Liberal Democrat councillor, perhaps when you're making your comments, you should make your allegiance known.
Would you like to go through the chair? Would people be concerned if Nadine were to leave the meeting? Yes. In that case, Tim, I have to ask you if you would not to
It's a public meeting, I wanted to get it on record.
Say something on this. I'd like to say something on this. Right, I live in Stevenage, but I brought a home in Mid-Beds. I wrote to my MP on several times, and she threatened me, which I've got 2 letters here, with the police, saying that if I wrote to her again on any subject to do with immigration or anything along those lines, she would contact the police. So it seems that we're becoming a police state where anyone who says anything that they don't like, then the first thing they do is reach for their Stasi. So, you know, I don't know much about this, but on this occasion, I think I'd like you to stay.
What I will ask Tim to do is to just purely record the programme for our own purposes and for nothing else. Can I have your assurance, Tim, that you will do that?
You have my complete assurance.
In which case it will just be for the Fat Crack members and it will be an edited version for our website.
Okay, can I just say one thing on the record before I drop out and only record the evening? Everything that Nadine Dorries just said about the other MPs and police complaints is a lie. and I can prove
I'm
it.
sorry, Tim, but we have no judge of that.
Well, she has no evidence.
What we will do is proceed with the meeting as it is, and I will ask, first of all, each of our candidates just to say a few words about themselves and what their priorities are for this area in particular and the area nationally. So could I start with...
Yes.
I understand that this has been broadcast.
Yes.
Would you please turn it on?
Stop the broadcast.
Yes.
He was asked if it would just be local. It's being broadcast live across the internet throughout what I knew would be happening.
I'm sorry?
Tim, you're broadcasting it live.
Yes, and
You asked for a guarantee that would be recorded locally, just for the local residents group, and you said yes.
No, the first thing I told people...
I can tell you that it's being broadcast across the internet, and there are people commenting on Twitter purely against... Now don't get me wrong, I'm not conservative by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sorry, Nadine, I'm not. I came into this meeting as a Liberal Democrat, and the one that stands out the best at the moment is the Labour gentleman, in my opinion. I have 4 children, I was born in Malden, I live in Flitwick, my dad was a teacher in Redbourne Outfield for 37 years, and the only name he has actually got a hashtag, which is specific to just Nadine Dorries. It's not about all the candidates. All I expect, which I hope everybody else expects, is a level playing field for everybody.
The first thing I did when I arrived... The first thing I did when I arrived was explain that I would not only be recording, but I would be broadcasting. I understood the difference and I explained the difference.
I'm afraid that I didn't understand the difference. I understood that...
Well, that's not my fault. I'm happy to stop the broadcast. I would also point out that there are 2 hashtags. There's a hashtag for Flitwick, which represents the hustings.
It's not even Flitwick!
I'm sorry.
And there's another hashtag for when Nadine speaks. I'm stopping broadcasting now. The broadcast has stopped. The broadcast has stopped. I didn't deceive anyone or do anything wrong.
I'm afraid so, because we understand that this is a private meeting. Tim, I will have to ask you to leave.
I'm a man of my... You don't have to leave, Nadine.
I'm sorry, everyone, I do have to go to another meeting. Can I just explain something to you before I leave? I get very explicit information from this man. My 4 staff at the back of the room have to read it on a daily basis. He has harangued the MP for Croydon and Milton to the point where she's had to involve police. He stalks her, he stalks me, and he stalks
Lie.
Patrick. And so this man is abusive and
This is not something that we expected.
Okay, well that's not something I expected, I've got to say. So I'm stopping recording now. I'm sorry if anyone feels misled, but I will point out that the first thing I did was explain the difference and explain that I would be broadcasting with this camera and recording with this camera.
Not quite the same as that.
Okay, alright. Well, I'm stopping recording.